everyone. Welcome to Made to Dream. I'm your host, Maya Chanel, and here we share stories from women around the world to inspire, encourage, and empower women and young girls to dream without limitations. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Miss Kiva Slade, and she's a certified online business manager. So I'm so excited to hear more about her story, her journey, and all the inspiration that she brings. So, hi, Kiva. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Maya. Thanks so much for this opportunity. It's awesome to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I want to give you the opportunity to allow the audience to know a little bit more about you and what you do.
Awesome. Yep. So, as Maya has shared, I am Kiva Slade. I am a certified online business manager, which means that I really work with like mid six and seven figure business owners, typically entrepreneurs who have kind of started their businesses, they've grown their businesses, and now they're at a point where they have teams, they have lots of moving parts, and they want someone to come in and take over day to day management, kind of serve as their voice of reason and confidant as they really get back into what's their zone of genius. So that's what I love doing in strategy and planning. So I do that, but I'm also a mom. I have an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old who's quickly heading towards 17, and he's the tallest one in the house and he eats a lot. So so I'm also that, and that's been an interesting journey as well because both of my kids have worked in my business at different points. My daughter quickly, I think she quit after about 6 weeks. I'm not cut out for virtual work. I need people. I need in-person things. I'm like, oh, sweetie, I'm so glad you could figure that out about yourself at this young age.
Yes.
So
I
but
think that's
yeah.
important, like exposing to different things so that, you know and truly in your heart what it is that you need to be doing. Because, like I say all the time on my podcast, and when we're young, we're not given the opportunity to explore, and
Yes.
exploring is a luxury. It really is, because
Yeah.
everyone isn't given the opportunity. So that's great.
Yeah, no, I have to wholeheartedly agree. And I really, part of for most of their journey, I've homeschooled as well. So that has been its own kind of interesting dynamic. But that level of exploration, like you spoke about, is so critical to
Mhm.
just understanding ourselves, understanding how we interact with the world around us, what we like,
Mhm.
what we don't like, what turns us on, what is a big fat no, I don't ever want to do that, ever in my life. So it's been really interesting, the combination of my own entrepreneurial pursuits with
Mhm.
my kids and involving them in those things, and like you said, really getting them that opportunity to explore themselves and really
Mhm.
figure out what's exciting, what's not exciting, and realizing that as we grow and evolve and you learn new things, yeah, that might change, and something that
Mhm.
you thought like, oh, 5 years ago I wasn't interested in, but now you have more of
Yeah.
an interest in it. But
Mhm.
just being free to explore it and to really dig deep into it. And I think that's something that we need to encourage more, is that digging deep in some things, taking those deep
Mhm.
dives and really figuring something out on a longer term basis than just kind of
Mhm.
a quick, let me know this enough to pass the test and keep moving.
Yes, because that's basically what life is like. I mean, going through school, going through college, I feel like, well, my high school was like super competitive, so I feel like I was more or less not really. I learned more in high school than college, kind of, just because in high school I did not see a multiple choice test at all. I mean,
Right.
everything was written. But then when I got to college, I was like, wow, like we're doing multiple choice here. This is what they do. That, like, they didn't tell me that we were going to go backwards.
Right. Yeah. You
And
don't get
so,
to really dig deep till grad school.
yeah, no, definitely. So it was just like, okay, like I was kind of like jumping back, and then it was like just regurgitating information and memorizing, and then just dumping that out and to learn the next thing. And it's just like, this whole cycle that we go through.
Yeah, definitely. And I really love that it works out kind of in that way, that we realize that now,
Hmm.
we can share that with others. And I mean,
Yes.
like I tell my kids, like, I know that whatever you choose as your major, let's be honest. I mean,
Mhm.
unless it's like medicine, or something in that field, like you could really there's so much shifting that could take place. You
Yes.
know, my bachelor's is in political science. I have a
Mm,
master's in public administration. I
mm.
was like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go to law school and I'm gonna do this and this. Yeah, none of that has happened. Okay,
No, seriously, I
but
think the biggest thing is finding out that, you can get a degree in something and you don't have to go the conventional route, or even the fact that I've even learned, a lot of people, I tell them how I was on the track to become a doctor, go become a surgeon. And, that kind of all twisted and changed when I like looked into it more of the lifestyle aspect. So I was like, oh, that's not really what I want for my lifestyle. I need a little more freedom than that. But,
Mhm.
you know, looking at it with med school admissions, they were like, a lot of people can even get in with just a history degree. It's like that
Yeah,
has nothing to do with medicine. Like
right.
I like, why didn't no one tell me this?
Right? Thank
It's
you.
so
Like,
many
and
things we don't
political
know.
science is like one of the worst majors they say for going to law school. Like, you should really major in philosophy or English. I was like, hello, I must have missed that lesson in
No
the
one
guidance
tells you
counselor's
that.
office, right?
No one tells you that. I feel like a lot of them don't even know it sometimes. So it's just like, wow. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like when you're exposed to all these different types of information, you're like, so my whole life was a lie? Or, I thought these were the people that were trying to guide me to get to where I wanted to be in success. And it's just like, sometimes we really have to go digging deep for ourselves and try to find out as much information as we can, because we're not going to be exposed to it all the time if we just wait for it to come to us.
That's right. And like you said, those that sometimes are being the guides, they don't know.
Hmm.
They're pretty
Yeah.
much using the information that they've been taught, or like these are the most, traditional paths to this. But it
Yes.
does not in any way, shape, or form define the only path to,
Hmm.
whatever that might be. And I think that that's part of the beauty now and kind of the leveling of the playing field, so to speak, in terms of
Hmm.
technology. And like, you know what? Tomorrow, if you decided you wanted to learn, I don't know, how to become a Facebook ad strategist, you can go take a class on that. But if the
Right.
next day you were like, I want to figure out how to knit because it's getting cold and I want a scarf, like you can go take that class too. And I
Yes.
feel like there are so many things that are happening, and it's
Hmm.
because people are saying, you know what, I might have done it this way, or everyone else has done it this way, but I'm
Hmm.
willing to figure out if there's another way to do that. And if this
Right.
other way might actually be a better way. And I think
Hmm.
that that's something that, and I really, tell when I used to tutor, it's like don't discount anything that you've been through, because it
Hmm.
all still serves a purpose, and you can come at a problem with a different approach just based on your experience, your
Right.
background, and what you've put yourself through to study. And I
Hmm.
think that that's really important too, is remembering that none of this is carved in stone.
Hmm.
We like to think it is. We like to think that we can map out, and let me tell you, I got a vision board too, okay? But like everyone else, it did not have no coronavirus on it for 2020. So
At all.
at all, so
Look, basically, just throw the whole vision board away for 2020 and
yeah.
start over, because all those plans out the window.
Yes, I look at mine. I did it in Canva, and it's like on my computer screen, and I'm like,
Hmm.
oh yeah, that beach. No, no, I ain't going to the beach. I'm not getting on
Let's
a
just
plane.
make sure we change it around to being healthy and safe. Maybe we might want to put some toilet paper on there, some water.
Thank you. Can we talk about that? I mean, the little things, like my mother literally has my dad. If he opens if he opens the next pack of paper towels or the next pack of toilet paper, she's like, the next time you go to BJ's, I need you to replace that. I'm like, you're two people. Like, what in the world? But she's like,
Oh
I'm
my
not, I'm
goodness.
not getting caught like that again. Like trying to be
Mm-mm.
on the
It was
hunt for
crazy.
it
It was
was.
crazy. Like, it's crazy. But jumping back into,
Hmm.
what you said about, being conventional, being unconventional, per se, in our world, we've always been kind of shunned for being that unconventional person or being someone who's different, when in reality, there's more than one way to do something. And I remember myself like taking a physics class in college. And if you did not do the problem the exact way that the professor did it, then you would
You
get the
lost
whole
points.
problem wrong. Even
Hmm.
if all the steps checked out and you got the right answer, you
Yep.
would get it wrong.
Yep.
Like, I'm just like, okay, make it make sense.
If I have the answer and you can see how I got there.
Uh-huh. So let's
But yeah,
talk
you're
about,
absolutely right
oh,
about that. And, just that there's more than one way to skin a cat. Okay.
mm-hmm.
And we just have to always remind ourselves of that and really encourage that, or encourage others to embrace their individuality,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
instead of shunning it and bringing it, more full circle and saying, you know what, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay that, you want to go about it this particular way. Let's go ahead and explore that and
Mm-hmm.
see where we wind up and,
Right.
see if that actually was a great idea. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, most definitely. So let's talk about your journey. How did you get to where you are today? How changing from political science and public administration to online business manager. So
Yeah.
let's talk about your journey.
Yeah, it's definitely a zigzag, okay? So, prior to kids and marriage, I actually served as a legislative director on Capitol Hill. I was really like, knee deep, chest deep in politics. And,
Uh,
for the most part, I really loved it.
mhm,
I mean, mind you, this was years ago. So at that particular point, I was like, okay, this is where I find myself. You feel like you're being helpful, you're making an
mhm,
impact and things of that sort. But you also got to see kind of the underbelly of the beast. And
right.
it's like, wow, like when the Wizard of Oz and the Emperor
Mhm,
really was like some little dude operating a
mhm.
machine that you thought was creating major magic here. So you really start to see that. And I left there and worked at a nonprofit being their policy manager, which worked out nicely because I still had connections on the Hill. And then
Mhm.
I got married and quickly got pregnant. And our daughter wind up, she had some health challenges. So, and I had in grad school did an internship with the Governor's Office of Children, Youth, and Families, which was during that, oh, all the brain research, kids' brains do
Mhm.
so much between 0 and 5. So I was like, hey, I need to stay home from 0 to 5 because that's when those brains, like everything's popping, and I need to be there for
Yes.
that, right? And so, I was like, okay, so this is fine. I'm going to do this. And then my son came. My kids are 18 months apart, and it was like, oh, oops, how'd that happen? And so then it was like, all right, we're still going to be here. And really just started, like working with my kids and started doing things. And some people at my church homeschooled, but I really had no understanding of it. And let me tell you, I am not a jean skirt wearing kind of gal. So I'm like, okay, what does this look like? And what y'all talking about? And I said, okay, I'll do some research on my own and figure this out. And really just started, just working with them and reading because like I've always loved to read and I
Mhm.
started phonics and we just like literally at 3.5 my daughter was like reading books and she was like okay and I have a sister-in-law who was an elementary school principal and she used to say I can't believe you're going to let them kids do this and then she was like over our house and my daughter's like reading to her and she's like so what materials were you what did you use? Like what were you using for this to happen? So long story short, it just wound up that at that point it was like let's just keep moving forward with this
Mhm.
and see where we go every single year, kind of
Mhm.
reassessing. And so we just continued that. And honestly, it's been the best journey ever. I would never, ever change that because, like we talked about earlier, it really allowed them to dig into themselves, but it also allowed me that
Mhm.
opportunity.
Right.
Through the course of that, I wanted to learn jewelry making. So
Mhm.
I took a course at a local jewelry shop and I then started business on Etsy.
Mhm.
And so it's like, okay, this has been really great. But, I had to remind myself, like, honey, you don't buy that much jewelry yourself. You cannot think that that's going to make a living. Okay. So I kind of had to think about that one a little bit harder. But I mean, it was more of that creative outlet. It was
Mhm.
like, this is something though that I enjoy doing,
Mhm.
not so much that this is something that I'm going to need to, I need to hawk some earrings so I can put food on the table.
Right.
So thankfully that wasn't the case, but
Mhm.
being able to explore that side and figure out hey I actually liked playing with fire and
Mhm.
torches are really cool. So long last year I think it was last year my daughter was going into her senior year and at that point my
Mhm.
kids were both doing dual enrollment. So it's like you're homeschooling, but you're not homeschooling because they have
Right.
professors, you know? So
Uh-huh.
you're like, yeah, so how's your class? Oh, you know, and so you kind of
Like,
just
what's
moved
next
on.
for
And I
me?
said,
Like, where am I needed?
yes. And that was exactly that moment I was saying that to myself, like, what's my purpose? You know, what am I doing here? You know, and everything. And I had to think about that for a while. And literally, you know, the internet, I think it reads our thoughts and minds and here's our conversations. And
Yes.
the next thing you know, it was like this course for becoming a virtual assistant came up. And I was like, oh, what is this? Like literally, how
Mhm.
did that ad or whatever it was just appear out of nowhere? And I, you know, stumbled across that. But then just based on my background, I was just like, you know, kind of pushing my clients, my early clients, like, okay, let's do this, let's do that. And they're like, okay, kind of wanted to, you know, this is the box I have you in. I really wasn't looking for a strategic partner. And so I then, the next step was becoming certified as an online business manager. And so
Mhm.
literally went through certification. And let me tell you, certification week was like grad school capstone project all over again. And I was like, wait a minute, what have I signed up for? Okay, like, am I going to make it through this week? I need everyone in the house to be quiet. Where's my classical playlist? Because I need to think. Okay. And so
Yes.
literally did that. And so, I mean, it's been one of those things that I knew that when I did decide to return to work, I wanted to do it on my own terms.
Mhm.
And, you know, like I said, my son is 16. So I am still needed as mom, you know, not as much or not in the same capacity. But
Mhm.
I still wanted it to be on my terms and, you know,
Right.
really by my definition. So this
Mhm.
really afforded me that opportunity and to just kind of craft for myself what it is that I
Mhm.
wanted to do as I move forward. And you know, having it be online based. So I'm still flexible. I'm still home. They both drive though now. So I'm still starting to figure out like, hmm, yeah, I'm still needed for some things, but I'm
Mhm.
no longer
No,
taxi
definitely.
service. But yeah, so that's really
Yes.
how I wound up here. And I mean, it's been a really great journey. It's
Mhm.
amazing to me though what people are doing now online and the businesses that are being birthed and the ideas that
Mhm.
people are really putting out there and into motion that are truly impacting people's lives. And that to
Mhm.
be a part of that is it's just amazing.
No, I agree. I agree. There's so much greatness in this world now, and I love how there's a blessing in the time that we're in now where people are finally saying, I want better. I want more. I want more fulfillment. I can do this. I can do that. And just being able to explore, like we talked about, exploring is luxury.
Yeah,
This time has given people the time to be able to explore themselves, to explore their passions, their purposes. And I think it starts from being youthful and just being able to provide those resources while kids are still in school, while they don't really have responsibilities like that. Just to
hmm,
say, you know what, there's more than this short list of successful careers that were given to you. There's more in the world that you can do. And like your dream is there's no limits on your dreams, essentially.
mm-mm. And you can make your dream, you know, be whatever you want it to be. And guess what?
Mhm.
If you change your dream, that's okay as well.
That's okay.
Um,
I look at
it's
it like
okay.
this. It's like going on starting a project and that project ends and you're like, okay, on to the next because we're not gonna necessarily have the same things that we're passionate about for our entire life. Like
That's
that doesn't
right.
happen. Just think about it like Martin Luther King. It wasn't like he was literally from the womb saying, "Oh my gosh, I have a dream. I want to make change." It was something in him that made him want to do that at a certain point in his life. It wasn't like he did that his entire life,
That's
you
right. And
know.
the same with Malcolm X. I mean,
Mhm.
and I think that that's also something that we need to encourage our young people in that, like, don't let your past define you, you know, and
Yes.
don't let others use your past to
Mhm.
define you or keep you in a box because the person you were in high school or the person you were 5 years ago, 2 years ago, yesterday, as
Mhm.
you continue to grow and evolve, you're not going to stay that person. You're not going
Right.
to do things the same way. So don't let other people kind of hold you back or
Mhm.
prevent you from stepping into what is truly possible
Mhm.
because of the fact, well, you used to do such and such. Okay, keywords in that sentence, used to. Can we
Yes.
get to today? You
Not to say
know?
more. It's called growth.
Thank you. So let's try to all embrace that, okay?
We're allowed to change. So, what would you say are some of your biggest life lessons that you've learned along your journey?
Mm. One is definitely our mindsets. We're
Mm,
talking a lot more about that now. I think, Brene Brown, Carol Dweck's book Mindset, but it's crucial. I mean,
mm,
because if we're, what it used to say, like your thoughts basically determine your altitude.
mhm,
Because if you're going to have those kind of limiting beliefs that I can't do this, then guess what? You're absolutely right. You're not going to be able to do it. Okay. And I think that really being able to know early on that
mhm.
there are, like, even that your mindset can change. You don't,
Yeah.
like, if you grew up with a fixed mindset in a household where people didn't, really encourage you, or your teachers didn't encourage you, or whatever, that doesn't have to stay that way.
Mhm,
So, really being mindful of our mindset, and as women, being mindful of gender stereotypes. We don't
mm,
always think that they impact us because we're living in this, era where these, look, women are doing this, women are doing that. Let's not kid ourselves, though. They're still not
mhm,
happening at the numbers that they need to happen at for there to be true equity and true parity in that.
mhm,
So, being mindful, I think, of gender stereotypes. Earlier, like we talked before we went on air,
mm.
exercise, whether it's physical, mental, like there
It's
bodily changes happen when we exercise. And I think we need to be mindful of that,
mhm.
finding that thing that keeps us centered. If it's your
It's
faith,
also
for
great
me,
stress
is
relief too, so
yeah, it's a stress reliever, and it's just like getting those things that you have and trying to build a routine around them. Of
Mhm,
course, giving ourselves grace because things are crazy right now, but realizing that. So I think another life lesson for me, like I said, my faith is important. Like I
mhm.
journal my prayers, that, writing things out like that, are just having it gives you a record to look back when you're having one of those
Yeah.
days and like nothing's going right, and everything's just everything's terrible, and you can go back and be like, oh, wait a minute, it's not that bad, okay, it's actually okay,
Like,
it
let me
actually
check
was
something
worse
real
4 months ago, right?
quick. Right. Just to
So
see
I
where
think
you've
that that's
come
helpful.
from and everything. I think that's really important too. And I like what you mentioned about, our mindsets being able to change. I was speaking like especially from being younger when, you come
Hmm.
out the womb and everybody is like throwing information at you. They're throwing different beliefs on you. They're throwing different likings and all of that on you. And I was talking to a friend recently and they were talking about how, they're older. We're older now. So as a kid, you're kind of like eating things that your parents just put in front of you. And he was like, I really don't like blue cheese on my wings. I like ranch. And his parents were like, who are you? Like, who are you? When in the world did you stop liking blue cheese? We all like blue cheese.
No. And I love that though. And I think there's this what's that? Julia Roberts in The Runaway Bride. Like she never knew what kind of eggs she liked. She only liked the kind of eggs for the guy she was dating. Like,
Mhm.
and it's like we kind of mold ourselves like,
Yes.
like this was my parents' favorite sports team, or this was my, parents' favorite this, or, this is the only way we ate this. And it's like,
Mhm.
you have to kind of almost like re-educate your own self. Like, let me actually try an egg a different way. Like, maybe I
Yes.
don't even like eggs at all, like cheese is just nasty and I don't want it on
Mhm.
anything. But it's like, yeah, we gotta have to break out of that. And sometimes I feel that we almost think that we can't because we might hurt someone else's feelings, like our parents,
Yes.
and it's like, you know what? It's okay. It's life ain't gonna end if you choose the ranch over the blue cheese.
Right. At all, at all, at all. So before we end, I do want to ask you if you have one thing to say to women and girls around the world to inspire them to dream without limitations, what would it be?
Mm. Do all that you can to educate yourself because people may say other things about you, may try to take you down, but your education they can never take away from you.
Right. I love that. I love that because especially when someone may have their opinion about something, and then we're kind of like, oh, okay, I won't try that just because this person said it was just a terrible experience. That may be just their experience, or they might not have even had a terrible experience. They just wanted to say they
Don't
didn't
want
like
you.
it. So
Mhm.
sometimes you really have to educate yourself on things for yourself because
Yep,
everyone's experience is not the same. But I do
not
want to
at
give you the
all.
opportunity before we close out to allow the audience to know if they want to contact you for services or just follow your journey. How can they do that?
Oh, sure. You can visit me on my website, the516collaborative.com. And I'm on Instagram as Kiva Slade, Facebook, the 516 Collaborative, and I'm on LinkedIn. That's kind of where I hang out more often than not. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, you can definitely find me on all of those places.
Yes, most definitely. So thank you so much, Kiva, for sharing your story with us here today. It was awesome having this conversation with you. We thank everyone once again for tuning in to Made to Dream. I'm your host, Maya Chanel, and we'll see you next time.